Did you know that recent U.S. immigration rules for 2025 have led to a ban on citizens from 5 Asian countries? Stay tuned as we dive deep into the reasons behind these bans, the impacted nations, and how these changes affect global relations. Immigration policies have always been a reflection of a country's priorities, concerns, and global relationships. This year, the United States has introduced a controversial set of rules, banning entry for citizens of 5 Asian nations. In this video, we'll explore the reasons behind this decision, the countries on the list, and the possible implications for individuals and governments alike. Let's get started. Number 5. Myanmar, also known as Burma, finds itself under the U.S. immigration ban for 2025 due to its prolonged political instability and human rights concerns. Since the military coup in February 2021, the nation has been gripped by violence, with thousands of civilians displaced and numerous lives lost. The U.S. has raised concerns over the suppression of democratic voices and the targeting of minority groups, including the Rohingya Muslims. The lack of accountability for war crimes and crimes against humanity has further strained Myanmar's global standing. Additionally, Myanmar's inability to regulate human trafficking and illegal migration routes has contributed to the decision. The U.S. also cited insufficient security measures for issuing travel documents, making it difficult to verify identities accurately. This ban primarily affects Myanmar nationals seeking refugee status or family reunifications in the U.S. Many critics argue that while the ban targets national security risks, it also punishes innocent civilians fleeing violence. Myanmar's military regime, meanwhile, has downplayed the impact, focusing instead on relations with neighboring countries. However, the ban complicates diplomatic negotiations and humanitarian aid efforts between the two nations. Experts believe this decision will further isolate Myanmar from the global community. Refugee camps in bordering countries like Bangladesh face an influx of displaced people, exacerbating regional challenges. The U.S. has emphasized exceptions for humanitarian emergencies, but these waivers are limited and heavily scrutinized. The ban also impacts businesses, as Burmese Americans can no longer sponsor relatives for visas. Additionally, the restrictions hinder educational opportunities for students from Myanmar seeking to study abroad. Human rights organizations continue to pressure the U.S. to revisit its policy. Critics argue that international sanctions should target the regime, not the people. Despite global condemnation, Myanmar's government shows little interest in reforming its policies. The ban underscores the global divide over handling authoritarian regimes and their human rights abuses. Activists believe lifting the ban will require a significant change in Myanmar's governance and global relations. Number 4. India's unexpected inclusion in the U.S. immigration ban for 2025 has sent shockwaves through the global community, given its traditionally strong ties with the United States. The U.S. government cited multiple reasons for the ban, including concerns over illegal immigration, visa overstays, and regional tensions in South Asia. The decision has significant implications for India, as it is the largest source of immigrants to the U.S. Many Indian professionals in technology, healthcare, and education sectors face uncertainty about their future. The ban also impacts Indian students, who represent a significant portion of international enrollments in American universities. Critics argue that the policy undermines the positive contributions of Indian immigrants to U.S. society and economy. Family reunifications have also been disrupted, with many Indian Americans unable to bring over relatives. The U.S. government has emphasized that the ban targets systemic issues rather than individuals, but its broad application has raised concerns. India's government has officially protested the decision, calling it a setback for bilateral relations. The ban also affects business relations, as many Indian IT companies rely on U.S. operations for their global strategies. Advocacy groups argue that the policy will hurt innovation and economic growth on both sides. Meanwhile, some analysts believe the decision is politically motivated, aiming to address domestic concerns about immigration. The ban has sparked widespread protests among Indian American communities, many of whom are active in U.S. civic life. Humanitarian organizations worry about the impact on asylum seekers, particularly religious minorities fleeing persecution in India. Despite exceptions for certain cases, the vetting process has become increasingly strict. Critics argue that the ban risks fostering stereotypes and damaging cultural ties between the two nations. India's growing geopolitical importance adds another layer of complexity, as the U.S. seeks to counterbalance China's influence in the region. Reversing the ban would likely require significant diplomatic efforts and reforms in India's immigration processes. The decision reflects broader debates within the U.S. about balancing security with the benefits of immigration. Advocacy groups continue to push for policy changes, emphasizing the contributions of Indian Americans to U.S. society. The ban underscores the challenges of maintaining strong bilateral ties amid shifting global dynamics. Experts believe that long-term solutions will require cooperation between the two nations, rather than unilateral actions. Number 3. Japan's addition to the 2025 U.S. immigration ban has surprised many, as the two countries have long enjoyed a stable and positive relationship. The U.S. government cited national security concerns, particularly regarding technological espionage and cyber vulnerabilities. While Japan is a leading ally in the Indo-Pacific region, recent incidents involving sensitive data leaks have raised alarms. The ban has significant implications for Japanese professionals in technology and engineering, sectors vital to both economies. Japanese students aspiring to study in the U.S. also face obstacles, with visa approvals slowing down considerably. Critics argue that the ban undermines the spirit of collaboration that has defined U.S.-Japan relations for decades. Family reunifications are also affected, with Japanese Americans struggling to sponsor relatives for immigration. The U.S. has emphasized that the decision aims to address specific risks without harming broader relations, but its impact has been profound. Japan's government has expressed disappointment, calling for diplomatic discussions to resolve the issue. Businesses on both sides are concerned about the potential loss of talent and disruption of joint ventures. Cultural exchanges, a cornerstone of U.S.-Japan ties, have also been affected, with fewer Japanese artists and scholars visiting the U.S. Humanitarian organizations worry that the ban might discourage Japanese citizens facing rare cases of persecution or domestic abuse from seeking asylum. The policy has sparked debates within the U.S. about its necessity, given Japan's strong record as a trusted partner. Critics argue that the ban could weaken the U.S.'s strategic alliances in Asia at a time of rising tensions with China. Despite its restrictive nature, the ban includes provisions for exceptions, though these are limited and highly scrutinized. Experts believe that lifting the ban will require Japan to address U.S. concerns over cybersecurity and information sharing. Advocacy groups on both sides continue to call for balanced policies that protect security without undermining historic alliances. The decision has also led to increased scrutiny of U.S. immigration policies, with some questioning their fairness and effectiveness. Japan's role in regional stability makes this policy particularly controversial, as both nations rely on each other for mutual support. The ban highlights the complexities of maintaining alliances in a world increasingly defined by geopolitical competition. Efforts to reverse the decision will likely focus on restoring trust and strengthening collaboration between the two nations. Despite current tensions, many remain hopeful that the long-standing partnership between the U.S. and Japan will endure. Number 2. North Korea's inclusion in the U.S. immigration ban for 2025 may not surprise many, given its long-standing history of strained relations with the West. The nation remains one of the most secretive and militarized in the world, with consistent threats to international peace. The U.S. cited concerns over espionage, as North Korean agents have previously been linked to cyberattacks targeting American infrastructure. The immigration ban has effectively blocked any official pathways for North Korean nationals to enter the U.S., further isolating the country. The U.S. has emphasized that this decision is necessary to protect national security. Despite this, critics argue that the ban does little to address the root causes of the tension. North Korean citizens already face severe restrictions on travel, with most unable to leave the country without government approval. This new U.S. policy effectively closes the door on any remaining hope for escape. Many North Korean defectors who manage to flee often rely on third-party countries for asylum. The U.S. had previously admitted a small number of defectors through humanitarian programs, but these have now been halted. The ban also impacts family reunifications for Korean Americans with relatives still in the North. Furthermore, North Korea's nuclear ambitions and missile tests continue to heighten tensions globally. The country's leadership, led by Kim Jong-un, has dismissed the ban as an act of aggression. Meanwhile, international organizations argue that this decision undermines humanitarian efforts. The ban has also sparked concerns over the treatment of North Korean refugees in transit countries like China. The U.S. maintains that the restrictions are part of a broader strategy to pressure the regime into negotiations. However, critics believe this policy may strengthen the North Korean government's propaganda against the West. Experts suggest that lifting the ban would require verifiable steps toward denuclearization and improved human rights conditions. The ban underscores the deep distrust between the U.S. and North Korea, which shows no signs of easing. This policy reflects a broader shift in U.S. immigration priorities, focusing heavily on national security. Activists call for greater efforts to support North Korean defectors and refugees seeking safety. The situation remains complex, with no immediate solutions in sight, leaving many lives in limbo. Number 1. China's inclusion in the 2025 U.S. immigration ban stems from escalating tensions between the two nations over security and political issues. The U.S. government has expressed concerns over intellectual property theft, espionage, and cyberattacks allegedly linked to Chinese nationals. While diplomatic relations have fluctuated, the ban reflects growing mistrust between the two superpowers. Chinese students, who form one of the largest international student groups in the U.S., face significant hurdles under these new restrictions. Many universities in the U.S. have already reported a decline in applications from Chinese students. The ban also affects skilled professionals in technology and research fields, which were traditionally seen as bridges for fostering bilateral understanding. Critics argue that this policy penalizes individuals rather than addressing systemic issues between the two governments. Additionally, the ban complicates family reunifications for Chinese Americans with relatives in China. The U.S. has also cited concerns over human rights abuses in regions like Xinjiang and Hong Kong as contributing factors to this decision. Activists believe that the ban reflects a broader strategy to pressure China on these issues, but it may also harm innocent civilians. Chinese companies with U.S. operations face challenges due to restrictions on visas for executives and employees. The Chinese government, in turn, has criticized the ban as an unjustified act of discrimination. The policy has further strained U.S.-China trade relations, impacting global markets. Meanwhile, humanitarian organizations worry about the implications for asylum seekers, particularly those fleeing political persecution in China. Despite exceptions for certain humanitarian cases, the vetting process has become more stringent and time-consuming. This has led to delays in visa processing, even for those who qualify under special categories. The ban also influences cultural exchanges, with fewer Chinese performers, artists, and academics visiting the U.S. Critics argue that such policies risk fostering anti-Chinese sentiment and xenophobia within American society. However, proponents believe the ban is necessary to safeguard U.S. national security interests. Experts suggest that reversing the ban would require significant shifts in Chinese foreign and domestic policies. The decision underscores the broader geopolitical competition between the U.S. and China, with far-reaching consequences for individuals on both sides. Advocacy groups continue to call for balanced policies that protect security without undermining human connections. The ban highlights the challenges of navigating a complex relationship marked by both rivalry and interdependence. Immigration policies are often a reflection of a nation's priorities, but they also define its relationships with the world. While the new rules may be justified for some, their broader implications cannot be ignored. What's your take on this issue? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to stay updated on global news and policies. See you next time.